Hi, my name is Christie, and this is my first ever live broadcast. I decided that I will experiment with live as well because I sincerely think this is how true things come out without making too much effort and without fixing too many things. So I'm here. I hope that my viewers will start to be more and more. Right now, it is like speaking to myself. But in any case, I think I'm not going to speak for too much as it is my first broadcast, and I really have not prepared that much to be able to speak for hours. So we'll keep it to 10 to 20 minutes, and then we will see how it goes. One thing I want to speak about in this broadcast is about entrepreneurship and the definition of it in the Greek language. Entrepreneur and entrepreneurship in the Greek language, it is a verb and not a subjective or a characteristic or an action. So that is, I think, quite a difference. And that's one thing. Then the meaning is also different in a sense. But this is only one of the things I would like to talk about. The other thing I thought it would be nice to share with you is to read with you the book Discipline Entrepreneurship by Bill Olet. I don't know if I spelled this, if I pronounce this correctly, but it is spelled Aulet. So those two things really, and if there is something that you want to talk about, please give me a call or a comment and we can start a discussion. So let's start from the definition of an entrepreneur. Like, what is, first of all, the word in Greek? The word is epichiro, and it actually means to try to do something, to try something that is going to give you some benefits. By the definition of it, you understand that there are as many probabilities to succeed and the same amount almost not succeed. If it was the same amount, actually it would be good because it would mean 50% succeed or not succeed. But I will just go to the dictionary and look for the exact word definition, and I will convey this. I will try to translate this in English. So if you go to Wikipedia dictionary, it says for the word epichiro, which comes from the ancient Greek epichireo, and it means that I start working to a project. I'm trying to do a project. Sometimes when it is about military projects, it even means fighting. In the New vocabulary, in the modern vocabulary, usually it is, if we want to speak about businesses, we use the επιχείρηση, which exactly means business, or επιχειρηματίας, which means the businessman, but also the entrepreneur. So there is this difference that a businessman, sorry, it is also an entrepreneur from the very beginning. But the fact that επιχειρώ means I'm trying to do a project, it distinguishes, I think, from the word entrepreneurship, because it actually incorporates the effort and the probability to fail while trying to do this project. And that's, I think, the big difference. If you were there now, you would try to convince me otherwise, or you maybe agree with me. Not sure. But in any case, the video is going to be there for you to comment in your in your own time and convenience. And so now I'm going to go to the next subject of this video, which is to read with you for the first time The Disciplined Entrepreneurship by Bill Olet. So when I opened the book, first of all, there are some words from disciplined, some praise for disciplined entrepreneurship, and I'm not going to read that, but I'm going to go to the contents. Contents are quite useful. So 6 themes of the 24 steps: getting started, market segmentation, select a beachhead market, build an end user profile, calculate the total addressable market size for the beachhead market, etc., etc., till the end, that it is the step 22 says define the minimum viable business product and show that the dogs will the dog food. And final step is develop a product plan. So I'm sure that there are a lot of interesting things in here, but we cannot go through it all. I'm going to stop only to things that they seem to be interesting, and I will just read those for you. One of those things is he's asking, what is innovation? Innovation has become an increasingly cliché term, but it has a simple definition, which I have adapted from MIT professor Andrew Roberts, and says innovation equals innovation multiplied by commercialization. And thereafter, he says that I modify Robert's definition, which involved addition, because innovation is not a sum of invention and commercialization, but a product. If there is commercialization but no invention, then invention equals zero. Invention but no commercialization, commercialization equals zero, then there is no innovation. He is quite right on that. Multiplication number brings a result closer to the reality. And then now I can see there is one viewer. I welcome you, and I hope if you have any question that you comments, or you are invited to talk live with me if you want. I continue with the 6 themes of the 24 steps, and he starts the kind of the same process as other books. Who is your customer? What can you do for your customer? How does your customer acquire your product? How do you make money of your product? How do you design and build your product? And how do you scale your business? Those are the questions that are asked by the writer, and I'm sure he has his own definition for those, and he goes through a different process from other books. But we will only have the chance to know about it if we go through and read the whole book. So now just page 24, seeing the world through the eyes of the customer versus seeing the world through the perspective of the company. Nice to know that. You have already heard that before, haven't you? So how do you do a market segmentation? That's interesting as well. How long should I spend on market segmentation? And then there is an example. The second step, select a beachhead market. I don't even know what beachhead market is. That's something new to me. I don't know if you have heard that term before, but if you haven't, let's go and discover it now. That will not be easy. Yeah, I guess I will have to come back to that one. Build an end user profile. Why target a specific demographic? I'm not sure what exactly would you like to listen to, but the story goes on and on and on, and I think I want to go to the end of the book and see, you know, the most interesting stuff. I hope they are in the end of the book. And let's see now. Step 21 is test key assumptions. He's right on this. We always assume something is happening. That doesn't mean that it is happening in reality. So that is a key point. I agree. I totally agree with you. I couldn't agree more. Step 22, I like. Define the minimum viable business product. And come on, this is something everyone now is talking about. Define the minimum viable product. It is not easy. I know that it is not easy, but they are right. If you somehow are able to create this minimum viable product, then you can actually see what is going to be your luck in the market. That's completely true. It's so true that cannot be anything more effective than that. In this step, he says you will integrate your assumptions into a systems test consisting of the minimal product that the customer will still pay for. 3 conditions of a minimum viable business product are: the customer gets value out of the use of the product, the customer pays for the project, and this project is sufficient to start the customer feedback loop where the customer can help you iterate towards an increasingly better product. Okay, those we have heard again. And then there are some examples of various businesses. And we go to step 23, show that the dogs will eat the dog food. Never had that phrase before either. It means demonstrate quantitatively that customers will pay for your minimum viable business project. Okay. And develop metrics that indicate the level of word of mouth your minimum viable product is creating among customers. Oh, I'm terribly sorry about that. I think you're not supposed to do this in a live broadcast, but I couldn't control it. And after all, I'm not. I'm only an amateur. I'm not a professional on doing this video, so I hope you do forgive me. I think I will just read you this paragraph because it makes sense to read you something that I think it is important. It says, in this step, you will take your minimum viable business product, but put it in front of your target customer and test whether this integrated system of assumptions will be accepted and paid for by your target customer, thus showing that your individual assumptions, when assembled together, actually work in the real world. Okay, the following story is functional but has many parallels to very real companies. I'm not going to read that story. I'm going to proceed. That's crazy. I'm continuing after the story and says, that's crazy. That wouldn't happen in real life, you may say, but it happens all the time. When I worked at IBM during the 80s and early 90s, I saw that electronic medical records made all the logical sense in the world. So lots of smart people spend lots of time and money working on making it a reality. But guess what? For decades, even though the technology was sufficient and the logic compelling, the doctor simply wouldn't use electronic medical records. They wouldn't eat the dog food. It has finally changed, but for hundreds of startups for over 2 decades, they went out of business because the timing was not right. Based on every detail you have uncovered about your product and your customer, it might make sense that your product would be viable. But ultimately, a person is going to have to accept your new innovative product, and humans are not always rational. Some behavioral economists have made a name for themselves in focusing their research on irrational human behavior. Professor Dan Ariely, the behavioral economist from Duke, probably being the most well-known. So after you have made your logical plans with individual experiments along the way, as in our great fable above, and before you invest large amounts of time and money, make sure the dogs will eat the dog food. And oh yes, now there are more viewers. I have 2 viewers now. Thank you for this. I'm really happy since this is the first broadcast, but I'm sorry, I just interrupted my reading. I will continue from where I left. I stopped. And oh yes, make sure the dog's owners will pay for the dog food too. With regard to testing to see if someone will pay for the dog food, the initial price of the product is not as important as showing that target customers will pay for the adoption of your product. It is good to beta test their wallet, as HubSpot co-founder Harmschach calls it. I wouldn't be able to read that anyway, even if it was in Greek. Even if the dogs don't eat nearly as much dog food as you thought, you can now learn a tremendous amount because you have real data on the minimum viable product. You are now in an iterative learning feedback loop with your customer, which is where you will start to mine the gold. That will make you reach customer preferences. With today's tools, there are so many ways to measure if the dogs are eating the dog food, so entrepreneurs should take full advantage of these tools, etc., etc., etc. So I was reading to you some paragraphs from the book Disciplined Entrepreneurship by Bill Olet, Managing Director, Martin Trust Center for MIT Entrepreneurship. That was important. I hope that you enjoyed that. I'm looking forward to your comments. I'm sorry for being so amateur on doing this video, but I promise that I'm going to become better and better every time. Thank you for sharing your time with me and this knowledge. Have a nice rest of the day.